When you hear the word Disney, what do you think about? You think about the hundreds of movies that are behind the name, all of the characters that were created with it, or the happiest place on earth. There's a particular man who made all of this possible, and his name is Walt Disney. He is the creator of the magical world that we know and love. Today I'm going to present you with information that I have gathered from biography.com. Disney made such a large impact on many people's lives with his big imagination and his big dreams. We'll begin by talking about the early life of Walt Disney. Walter Elias Disney was born December 5th, 1901 in Hermosa, Illinois. He was one of 5 children with 3 brothers and 1 sister. His parents' names were Elias and Flora Disney. His family lived most of his childhood in Marceline, Missouri, where he began drawing and painting and selling his creations to his friends and family. In 1911, he moved to Kansas City, where he found his love for trains. He began working for his uncle, who was a train engineer. He sold snacks and newspapers to people waiting at the train station. Disney attended McKinley High School in Chicago, where he did drawing and painting classes. He was also the cartoonist for the school's paper. He took classes at Chicago Art Institute and later dropped out because he wanted to join the Army. He was rejected because of his young age. After being rejected from the Army, he started a job with the Red Cross, where he would go to France and drive an ambulance for a year. He returned to the U.S. in 1919. Now that I've touched on Walt Disney's early life, I want to talk about the start of his career, which in turn started the rest of his life. In 1919, he moved back to the U.S., and he got a job at Pressman-Rugen Art Studio in Kansas City. From there, he started working at a cutout animation commercial company called Kansas City Film Ad. He began experimenting with a camera, doing hand-drawn cell animation, where he started his own business with Fred Harmon, which was his first employee. The two men made a deal with a theater in Kansas City where they would show their short films, which they called Laugh-O-Grams. He later bought his own studio, who he also named Laugh-O-Grams, and he hired a number of employees, which included Harmon's brother Hugh and Ub Iwerks. Together they created a series of 7-minute-long short films, which were a combination of live action and animation roles. They called them Alice in Cartoonland. In 1923, his studio went into debt, and he was forced to file for bankruptcy. His brother, as well as Iwerks, relocated to Hollywood, California, where they opened up a studio called Disney Brothers Studio, and they began getting contracts for their short films. The rights to these short films were stolen by the contractors, and they were forced to create new characters. The 2 brothers, Iwerks and their wives, created all new cartoons, which introduced the most well-known character of Disney. In 1928, Mickey Mouse was introduced in his first appearance in a short film called Plane Crazy. He later created his first sound film called Steamboat Willie, and it was an instant sensation. More well-known characters such as Minnie Mouse, Goofy, Donald Duck, and Pluto were created in 1929. December 21st, 1937, Snow White was the first full-length animated film to appear, and it won 8 Oscars that year. It was the start of over hundreds of more movies to come. Cinderella in 1950, Peter Pan in 1953, Sleeping Beauty in 1951, and so on. Disney's last major success was Mary Poppins in 1964, of which he produced himself. I have covered Walt Disney's early years and career, and now I'd like to talk about a place that he created called Disney World. After his success with animation, he had a dream to create an amusement park. He wanted people, adults and children, to be able to explore, ride rides, and meet the characters that he created. So he made it happen. $17 million later, He made an investment, and Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California in 1955 on July 17th. Opening day consisted of a few flaws. There were thousands of counterfeit invitations that went out, but overall it was a big success. It didn't take long for the park to increase its investment tenfold. People were visiting from all over the world and still do today. After the park was so successful, he had a dream of opening a second park. During the construction of that park, however, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and passed away December 15th, 1966 at age 65. His brother Roy carried out the plans for his second park and opened up Walt Disney World in Florida in 1971. From childhood, Walt Disney had a vision. He created some of the most well-known places and characters that still to this day are extremely popular. The information I have shared with you, you can take, and you now know more about Walt Disney's life.